just
I think
repeat the
he
same
is
thing?
generous.
I'm gonna say folk. Like folk.
It sounds like Afro pop.
Don't go falling in love. Don't go falling in love. I only want you for the night. Only want you for the night. Train wreck, storyteller might have had too much to drink. Train wreck, she's leaving for the meaning.
My name is Storyteller Rocksolid. The name Storyteller, I didn't come up with it. I was singing for somebody and they say that my voice tells them a story. So I was like, Storyteller. I was like, alright, Storyteller became my name. And Rocksolid was, I was in a band and for one day I was just like, Storyteller Rocksolid, and dude just was like, yeah, Storyteller Rocksolid. And I was like, Storyteller Rocksolid. And it just stuck on. I've been actively pursuing music for about a year now. You know, music has always been a part of my life ever since I was young. You know, growing up as a refugee, my parents pointed towards music as an escape for all the things that we were experiencing. So music's always been a part of my life, but I started like going after it about a year ago. Well, I was very young when I had to leave my country of birth. I was like 3 years old. You know, we survived the 1999 Makobola massacre, where about 600 people died, were butchered pretty much in a little village. That's a lot of people. You know, and I grew up moving from refugee camp to refugee camp. I first went to Tanzania, and then Malawi, and then Mozambique. Then I grew up in Johannesburg, South Africa. Even then, there were no refugee camps in South Africa, but I was living in abject poverty. Then in 2012, my family and I relocated here to the USA. We lived in Mobile, Alabama, and then about 3 years ago we moved to Illinois, and that's where I've been ever since. It's definitely, it was more of a cultural shock than it was anything else. You know, the infrastructure in Johannesburg and here is pretty much the same. And I went to Mobile, Alabama, which is down south, like at the bottom of Alabama. So the biggest change was culturally. You know, a lot of things that we consider as complete taboo back at home over here are some acceptable things, you know, so I had to wrap my hand around that. Definitely, I was used to being a majority. You know, you'd see a white person every now and then, but when I went to Alabama, of course I went to a high school that was predominantly black, but I played soccer, and that's a predominantly white sport, especially in the South. So yeah, it was interesting to see how it's like to be a minority, because I was so used to being a majority. It was interesting, per se. It was of course it had a reaction to me, a reaction that I didn't expect, but it's kind of understandable, you know. So it was still cool, you know. They took me in as you know, they were like my brother from Africa, and they would want to hear stories about where I'm from and all of that. It was cool. I was integrated, you know. It was like I thought I had to change who I was so I could fit in more, but I just had to remain myself, and you know, I was accepted into the community too. You know, it was after a failed relationship that because you know, the person said some really harsh things about the fact that I'm not doing anything about my music. You know, like, you're not going to be successful in life without your music, because it seems like that's the only thing you're good at. And it was like an epiphany for me, because then I realized that music is really what I am really good at. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go for it. I was just a student, you know. I graduated high school in 2012, and then in 2015, I graduated high school, and then I did a semester at Lewis University. I was studying music. But you know, you don't go around showing not your resume, your diploma, to get shows, you know. And I'm not trying to be a music teacher or whatever. I'm trying to be a musician, so I had to start pursuing it. You know, my name is Storyteller. So my message is pretty much everybody's story. You know, I'm just telling the story of the world, the way I see the world, my perspective of life. You know, my songs are not just about me, but they're about the people that I've encountered, the situations I've encountered, and just a reflection of what's going on in my dark mind.
You know how we rock with it. I'm a village boy, but I'll treat you like my queen.
Night before recording, I wrote down lyrics for it, and I was like, okay, so this is what I'm gonna do to it, yada yada yada. But on my way there, for some reason, I decided I was gonna do something different. So I started writing lyrics for it while driving to the studio. Then I got to the studio. He was already there. He was already doing some other song. Then it was time for us to do the Love Drank song, and we went in there and we just did our thing. And before I knew it, it's going crazy right now. The music video is doing good. The track itself has got thousands of plays on SoundCloud, and that's pretty much the experience was amazing, really. Shout out to Lani for putting me on. You know, if there's somebody I could point at in Chicago and say this person put me on, it would be to Lani.
I'm Rebecca Baruch. I am curator here at the Den Theater and artist. Well, this is not the first time I saw him. I actually saw him at Chill's Fuck at Second City. Every time I see him, his voice is so resonant. It's so his. It's unmistakable. And he just seems so happy to be doing what he's doing. It's like contagious. I think it's very sincere, and he's very much trying to find his voice, and is doing it really quickly. Like, he started a year and a half ago, so it's just always kind of takes me back to see how quickly he's finding his style.
Crazy how we never fight for the ones we love. Crazy how we
Bella
never
J. I am Ephraim's girlfriend. I think that it's very unique. It's something like how do you say that saying? To be acquired to, you know? Like, where it's like you're unsure at first, but then you get like addicted to it.
Ooh, I guess like a Jimi Hendrix meets like a Bob Dylan, the way it's like a really raw, kind of raspy, and the way he hits like unusual notes that are like, seems like really emotional, but he doesn't like lose, you know, his key. Yeah, very emotional. At least what I've seen so far. Soul folk.
It just represents the things that he went through as a refugee and the perception he has now being here. I think it's important around this time specifically because I think that people can listen to his message because he comes from such hard times, and it doesn't compare to what we go through here, or we don't compare to what he has gone through. Like, we haven't experienced anything like that. It's like eating guacamole. Like, the first time it's like, this is, I don't know, not what I expected. But then it's like you just get addicted. You want more. I think that his country is gonna be turned, and I feel like it's gonna bring like a whole new horizon to music. Everybody's gonna people that are like him are gonna start popping up more. So that's cool. People don't really have the courage to like do something outside of the box. They ain't ready. They're not ready, but it's okay.
5 years from now, I mean, touring I was gonna say the country, but the world. Because I think he has like a global appeal. I mean, he's just so warm, like anyone can read that and relate to it. So touring the world in 5 years, lots happens in 5 years. It does. So.
When he came back from Hollywood, I could already like see a difference in his voice, and he's a lot more serious.
Could you copy the first portion of the song?
It's
right there.
Open playground, so it's like first come, first serve, and like there's people working very, very hard for this. And so I think that going to see all of those people working so hard motivated him to work even harder. And I can definitely see that he is taking this a lot more serious than he was before.
My name is Storyteller. I am known.
Don't cry for me.
Why can't we see we're all we'll have when we play pretend? Watch how we crumble. Why won't you stay? Broken I am.